Hello and welcome to Tuesday's Tapping Tips. This is where I love to be able to share with you just how to use emotional freedom techniques, aka tapping, in your world day in, day out to manage the stress, anxiety, the worry that shows up as it does. We're human, where stuff happens and it can show up in many forms. Excuse me. And so today I wanted to just explain, because sometimes when I am explaining EFT tapping for the first time, the question is, why the negative? Why am I focusing in on the negative? Because it's really counter to what we're so used to in terms of positive affirmations, positive thinking. We need to be positive, 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 positive. Yeah, we do. However, we can't deny certain negative feelings or certain negative situations that we've experienced or could experience in the future and have done in our past. We can't cover that up with beautiful, wonderful words, and yet underneath the surface, we still feel shit about that situation or about ourselves. So what EFT is doing is actually stating the truth. It's stating and bringing voice to the fact that this situation has happened, or thinking about something in the future which creates a negative feeling. The reality is that's what's going on for us. So we're stating the truth. We're actually stating what's going on for us, and then we're acknowledging the emotion that's linked to that in the present tense. So this situation happened. Thinking about it now, I feel whatever emotion it is. Or thinking about this future situation, I feel, because we can't do anything about the emotion in the past, nor do we really know what we're going to feel in the future. So it's always in the present tense. And then the actual positive part of it is, even though there's this stuff going down, or this stuff could go down, I accept myself. So we have this two parts to the actual EFT, what we call our setup statement. This is happening, but I can accept myself anyway. And so that in itself is a very positive and empowering thing. So I hope that's explained it. That's a very brief outline, I guess, on why we are focusing on the negative. It's like another analogy, which I do appreciate. It's like, spraying an air freshener over dog poo. If you haven't cleaned the dog poo up, it might smell okay for a little bit. And as soon as that air freshener disperses, if the dog poo is still there, it's still going to smell that way. So by clearing out the negative, we can then start to put in some beautiful positive stuff. So what I'd love to show for this week is something that's very real for a lot of parents, because for Australia, maybe not the US, I'm not sure what their schooling schedule is, but certainly for Australians, a lot of schools have actually either gone back this week or going back next week. So for a lot of parents, there'll be a lot of happy partying going on, because school holidays can be a bit stressful. They can be very enjoyable, but they can also be very stressful. But so there could be part of you that's really going, thank God school holidays are over. There could be a part of you going, oh my gosh, now we start the school situation again. The drop-offs, the pickups, the extracurricular activity, the arranging lunches, the play dates, the constant, getting them out of bed on time. So what I am going to suggest you do today with me is just think about, if this applies to you, think about what might be showing up for you now when you think about if you do have a child and they're going back to school next week. I have an 11-year-old, she starts on Monday, and what shows up for me is getting her out of bed on time to be able to get her, we've got to pick up another little friend and get her to school on time. I'm someone that is very punctual. I like to be on time. And I think it's really important that she too obviously gets to school on time. We're not kind of racing, because if she's racing, then she goes into the school environment with that energy of race. But if we can just calmly get her up, calmly get to school, calmly drop her off, then that kind of sets the tone for the day. So for me, thinking about Monday, and I start work fairly early. I then wake her up. She then has to get herself up, breakfast, and we need to leave by, a certain time. I actually notice that I do feel some anxious feelings just thinking about that and making sure she's on time. So here's how it would look. So we start at the side of the hand, so that's between the wrist and the pinky. and I'm just going to state exactly what I'm thinking about for next week. And it would look like this. Please write down your own. So we're thinking about a situation either from the past or in the future that's related to this, or something a little different that's causing you to feel bothersome or angry, pissed off, whatever it is. You write down your own thing, but then repeat my words, because at the end of the day, your subconscious is knowing what it needs to work on, and see whether this lands for you. And what we do remember is we focus on what is the emotion, rate it 0 to 10 so we can work out whether the tapping's doing what it needs to do, or whether we need to change the words, change our focus. So if I think about it, that anxious feeling is probably sitting at a, now it's subjective, obviously. I'm going to say a 4. Thinking about Ruby waking up and being on time, I feel anxious, 4 out of 10. And I notice that it's sitting in my chest. So here we go. Because you know what? If I let go of that anxious feeling, set the intention that all will be well, who knows what magic could happen? That's my belief anyway. Doesn't land with everyone. So here we go. Even though just thinking about Monday and Ruby waking up and getting ready for school, I notice I feel anxious in my chest. Just thinking, will she be on time? I can still deeply and completely accept myself. So I stated the truth, the emotion, but I'm okay. I'm accepting it. It's, you know, and even though just thinking about Monday and waking Ruby up and her getting ready for school, I feel anxious in my chest, thinking, will she be on time? And will she get out of bed? I still deeply and completely accept myself. And even though just thinking about Monday and waking Ruby up and her getting ready for school, I feel anxious in my chest, just thinking about her being on time and her getting ready. But I can still deeply and completely accept myself. And then we go to the top of the head, feeling anxious in my chest, feeling anxious in my chest, feeling anxious in my chest, feeling anxious in my chest. And then I just come back to the side of the hand and I think about, okay, so I'm going to wake Ruby up, her getting ready, her being on time, us walking out the door as we need to, and for it to be calm. I actually do notice that has gone from a 4, it's barely there, so a 0 to a 1. But if that didn't come down and if that was still sitting at a 4, I'd be like, okay, Kate, what am I really focused in on? What is the real reason that I'm feeling this anxious feeling thinking about Monday? So I'd get really kind of specific, and that's what we need to do. That's where EFT is terrific, when we get specific. And so I just invite you to start to play with it a little bit during the day, and just because what we're trying to do is just regulate and manage our central nervous systems and to keep ourselves calm. So when the shit hits the fan, we can deal with it. And we're not constantly going into this stress response. And I guarantee you, because it happens in my household and I've heard it happen with a lot of my clients, when we remain calm and when we're managing our own emotional state, if you do have children or if you have other people around you regularly, there is a really positive effect on those individuals as well. So if you want to know more, you want to try this for yourself, reach out to me or just continue to follow these weekly tapping tips on a Tuesday. And I do hope that you try it and see how you find it in your life. Thanks for joining me.